The opening scene shows a lady named Eliza walking quietly into a room. She turns the TV on and watches a video that looks like it's made for her alone to watch. The main character in this video happens to be her, and the voiceover is very familiar to her. Finn Elliott walks into his parents' house screaming and yelling continuously. Eve, his mother, runs out to find out what could be the reason for his behavior, but he refuses to give her a response. Instead, he lies on the floor and looks into the sky. Eve calls out to her husband Clay, who informs her that he received a call from Curtis's mom, and she reported that their son hurt her again. Finn already believes his mother had him when she wasn't ready, just because abortion is a sin. Eve gets up to speak with her husband, and soon forgets that her son was screaming his lungs out some minutes ago. His parents, after whispering among themselves, walk inside the house, discussing as though it's someone else on the floor and not their son. He's not surprised by their response. He picks himself up and heads to the road where he lies right in the middle of the road. He gets carried away watching the videos he filmed in a recorder. The sound of a vehicle tire screeches and brings him back to reality, and in no time, the driver approaches him yelling and questioning his sanity. Louise is upset as she quarrels with him for comfortably sleeping on the road, but his attention is taken away by the young girl who approaches them. There and then, he meets with Eliza for the first time. She walks over and he asks her mother if she is okay because of how disheveled she looks. To him, she's different from anyone he has ever met, and she makes him feel things. By the time he gets into the house, his parents lock him up, and Clay claims it's for his good. Finn pleads with them not to blame him, as he explains that Curtis called him names, causing him to retaliate. Eve walks out of the room a bit annoyed and irritated with his attitude. He thinks his mother hates him and she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. Clay stays back, assuring his son that she doesn't hate him, but she's disappointed at him. He tells Finn that he will be just fine by the next day. Finn is a high school teenager. He is handsome, but his life seems to be troubled, thanks to the tragic upbringing he had, which has made him aggressive and prone to do dangerous things when triggered. He hates school, but has to attend because his parents want him to, and there's no way he can escape from that. At school the following day, a sub-teacher, Anna Beth, enters their class and introduces herself, also informing the students that she will be the one who will facilitate their quiz for the day. She asks every one of them to put their books away as she begins to share the quizzes with everyone. When she gets to Finn's desk, she wonders what has come over him. He's acting as though he can't hear her instructions. He still has his book on his desk, and not just that, he is behaving strangely. She threatens to tell his teacher about the way he's handling his book. Finn feels provoked and calls her a snitch. He becomes aggressive and rips the book. To her astonishment, he charges towards her right in front of the whole class, and fear grips her, but he won't stop even though she's moving backward. The news of his expulsion makes waves among his schoolmates before the end of the day. Everyone in school has heard the news of the teacher who is not relenting in pressing charges against him. While cycling home, one of his schoolmates, Eliza, and her friend Ava discuss Finn and his aggressive behavior. Ava is surprised that Finn has spoken to Eliza before now. He never talks to anyone, and his attitude is enough to scare anyone away or deter whoever plans on getting close to him. She advises Eliza to stay away from him because it's evident that something is wrong with the young man, and it's risky to get too close to him. They arrive at Eliza's house. As they walk in, Eliza wishes her mom will be elsewhere and not home. Eliza has her fair share of family troubles. Her parents are divorced, and she hates school as well. To make matters worse, her mother is an alcoholic, which is the major cause of her divorce from her stepfather Dale. She and her friends settle in and begin to snack on some pastry. Her mother, Louise, calls out to her, and before long she joins the girls in the living room area, where they are eating. By a lake within the town, Sasha and Claudia gossip about their classmate Finn. Claudia has noticed how her friend keeps staring at Finn even though he pays her no attention. She suspects Sasha must be having a crush on him. Anyways, he's a psycho, and she wishes he'd fall in love with Eliza, their weird friend. Later in the day, Eliza finds Finn reading a book by his favorite author Vonnegut. They get talking, and he wants to know more about her family, and things she finds interesting. Their conversation is going pretty well, and he's learning some interesting facts about this beautiful soul, whom his heart has taken a special liking to. He confesses that he likes how she talks to him. He feels she speaks to him like everything is normal, unlike the others who rarely converse with him like a normal person. They spend the rest of the day talking about a science fiction book Eliza read. At night, her mother leaves the house, informing her that she will not be returning home until the next day, so it'll be best she locks up. Eliza tries to talk to her, but Louise isn't going to listen or negotiate with her teenager. Finn comes over and brings her flowers in appreciation for saving his life the previous day. She smiles and jokingly questions if sleeping on the street is a specialty of his. Meanwhile, Louise gets into a bar and drinks by herself while trying to reach Dale, her ex. After several rings, he finally picks up the call, which doesn't even last long, as he asks about her improvement and doctor's appointment. He misses her, but it doesn't look like she's ready to change and quit drinking anytime soon. Finn drags Eliza to the graveyard, and unlike his usual quiet self, he has grown chatty around her. Why won't he when his heart feels at ease, and he's finally getting the attention his parents denied him? Eliza reveals she doesn't like graveyards, and she'd like to go meet her mother instead. He smiles and watches her drop the flower on the grave of an 18-year-old. Then he leads her out of the graveyard. Who goes to hang out in the graveyard during the night? How iconic of Finn. He walks her down to the bar where her mother frequents. They meet the bar owner outside, and the lady informs Eliza that she gave her mom some food for free. However, the drinks she took will be added to her tab. Eliza walks in, leaving her outside with Finn, who reveals that he just got expelled from school today. Louise is drunk. She confesses her love for her daughter and asks about her stepdaughter Corinna as they talk for a few minutes before heading home. Finn assists Eliza in carrying Louise to their house. Eliza feels embarrassed and wonders why her mother isn't embarrassed by the things she's saying in her drunken state. They succeed in getting her to bed, and Louise continues to speak gibberish until she finally falls asleep. Eliza invites Finn over for breakfast in the morning. For helping out, she thinks she owes him breakfast in appreciation. He admits that he had a nice time spending the day with her. He gets up and hugs her before bidding her goodnight. The following day, Finn honors Eliza's invitation to breakfast. Louise walks in on them while they are eating, but she doesn't notice Finn until Eliza is about to introduce him. She doesn't look pleased as she calls her daughter aside and requests to know who he is. Then she instructs Eliza to send Finn away because she's having a migraine and she needs quietness. Eliza returns and makes an excuse for her mom's behavior earlier. Finn seems to understand. He doesn't want to make things difficult for her, so he offers to leave, but not without hugging her. At school, Sasha walks up to where her friends are gathered like a boss teen, or better yet, the leader of their clique. She shares tickets with Corinna, Claudia, and Ava for free, but informs Eliza that she'll have to pay full price for the tickets. She taunts Eliza, and Corinna tackles her and reminds her that she's just trying to impress her dad, who doesn't even live by selling tickets to his show. Sasha is indeed reminded of her unhappy family. She angrily picks up her bag and walks away from them. Well, Corinna's words are mean, and the others don't like her tone, especially Claudia, who is much closer to Sasha. She picks up her bag and follows behind Sasha while Corinna decides to return to class. She calls for Eliza's attention, who has been avoiding her. She asks why she's being blamed for what her dad did when it has nothing to do with her. Eliza doesn't want to talk about it, so she walks away and advises her to stop feeling sorry for herself. Sasha likes Finn, so she stalks him, hoping to get his attention, but he walks away from her, ignoring her advances. After school, Corinna stops by the house. She walks over to where Eliza is lying down and suggests she speak with Dale because he'll listen to her. She tries to make Eliza understand that she doesn't have to hate her father. After all, he raised her, but Eliza gets upset. She raises her voice at Corinna, and when Louise arrives, she reveals that Corinna was the one who told Dale that she was stealing his pills. Instead of getting angry, Louise embraces Corinna, who is moved to tears already. She tries to talk to her daughter, but Eliza storms out yelling and exclaiming how much she hates their family. Later in the day, Eliza meets up with Finn, who is always filming her and almost every other thing around him. He explains that it's something comforting he enjoys doing. He feels it's more like a documentary about the life possessed by living things and their passing. Eliza thinks he's being poetic. She follows him to find out the secret he wants to show her. They take a walk and she shares details about the fight she had with Corinna. She confesses that she needs Dale to take her and her mom back because her mother is getting worse. She feels Corinna is always on her father's side, and he wants her mom to quit drinking and other stuff she does. They arrive at the abandoned building which Finn wants her to see. They get in and spend some time there chatting about a few things, especially Finn's childhood fantasy. Later he takes her for the next adventure. On their way, they discuss their plans, and Eliza reveals she just wants to leave their town and just go away from her family. After some time, they arrive at a grassland. Finn leads her to take a seat by a tree, which must have been struck by lightning. He confesses that he didn't mean to hurt the teacher, Anna, and Eliza believes him because she feels safe around him. He goes on to share a story his father used to tell him when he was a child about the cycle of life. Eliza smiles. It's quite educating and she thinks his father must be interesting. Finn holds her hand and asks her to close her eyes so they can listen to the sound of the surroundings together. he feels everything is silent with her, and nothing hurts at all. The next day is President's Day, so there are no classes. Eliza finds her mom in the sitting room, and Louise brings up her attitude towards Corinna the previous day. She just hopes they still love her like they did when they were little. Eliza doesn't want to talk about it, but she's getting pissed that Louise still loves Corinna after she betrayed her. Louise scoffs and gets up from her seat. She tells her daughter that she's the one who betrayed her and blames Eliza for being a needy child, which led to her losing Dale's baby. Eliza looks away. She is so hurt that her mother is blaming her for their broken family. She reminisces back to her childhood days when she and Corinna used to be happy together. She's going through a lot of pressure taking care of her mother. Ava and Corinna are quite worried about her, but there's little Corinna can do. Eliza keeps hanging out with Finn, and he keeps making several recordings of her and the memories they create together. On one occasion, she inquires about his parents when they are hanging out exploring different places. Finn reveals that his parents have passed. She thinks he means literal passing until he explains how their hearts stopped beating for him when he was little. They are so engrossed in themselves that they forget they have a son. Eliza and Finn find a river nearby and decide to take a swim. Spending so much time together daily has made them close to each other. They find love and solace in their company, such that they always want to be around each other all the time. At nighttime, Finn sets up a fire, and they sit together while he tells one of the things his dad said to him when he was a child. Eliza takes out his recorder and begins to capture him. As soon as he sees her, he yells at her to stop and grabs the camera from her. He claims he doesn't like being filmed. For someone who films everything? How ironic. They spend the night together that day, and while she's sleeping soundly, Finn is experiencing chaos. He can feel the darkness and light that coexist together, and he can feel them playing hide and seek with him. Finn gets into a real struggle as he tries to control the raging chaos inside him, but fails. He punches the wall tirelessly in a bid to control the commotion in his head. At Dale's house, his daughter informs him that Eliza hates her, and she blames her for the separation of their parents. She admits her father's wrong by putting Louise in his late mother's house, and proves to him that her stepmother is not strong enough to change. Dale thought it would be best for Louise, and it'll help her acclimate and ground her. He apologizes to Corinna for all the blame she's receiving from Eliza, because it's not her fault, but he wants what's best for Louise, and he still misses her. The following day, the father and daughter meet up with Eliza at a diner. Corinna informs her stepsister that she got her a ticket for Sasha's party tonight. Eliza reveals it'll be a waste of money, and also, it'll hurt her mom if she finds out that she's with them without her knowledge. Corinna thinks it's a good time for her dad to make a move. She prompts him, and he agrees for all four of them to meet at their house by 5 p.m. At least Eliza can also come for the dance afterwards if she changes her mind. Eliza's response doesn't sound so great as she gets up and exits the diner. It breaks Corinna's heart, but she's trying her best to unite them once again. Eliza takes off to Finn's house. She walks to the back and finds him sitting there carving a wooden shark. She's been skipping school for some days now, and her mother has no idea. Finn takes her to his room and Eliza confesses that he's lucky he got expelled, unlike her who has to dodge attending classes. He kisses her forehead lightly and soon dives for her lips. They confess how much they like each other, and begin to intensify the kiss as their emotions heighten. Eliza takes off her shirt, while he gently gets on top of her. Later in the day, she gets back home and meets her mother painting a piece. Louise reveals her head is aching, but as soon as her daughter mentions the dinner with Dale, it suddenly vanishes. She questions why Dale didn't inform her and why the dinner is so early. Eliza watches as her mother anxiously gets up and starts running to and fro in preparation for the dinner. Finn visits and finds her outside the house just by the clothesline. He kisses her and she tells him about the development with Dale. She asks that he come with her as her date. Louise calls Eliza's attention only to be told that Finn will be coming with them. She's upset because she has waited so long for Dale to come to his senses, only for her daughter to have plans to invite a stranger. Well, Eliza is quite stubborn, and she ends up bringing Finn to her family dinner. During the family dinner, Louise is already having her hopes high, such that she is having a nervous breakdown about it, and now, it feels like everything is falling into place. Dale pours everyone some wine, and makes a toast to persistence as he proclaims that they will always be family. Everything is going well as Dale engages Finn in a conversation to know how he met Eliza. Louise doesn't like Finn. She subtly gets on Eliza's nerves with her comments, and Eliza ruins the moment. She angrily asks her mother to ask Dale the reason he agreed to the dinner, if not to ease the guilt he feels. Then, she turns and accuses Dale of torturing her mother even more with his fantasy dinner. She storms out, and Dale asks Corinna and Finn to go upstairs while he discusses a few things with Louise. The air is tense all over the house. The two get up and remain in Corinna's room until they start hearing some arguments from a distance. They move towards the window and see Dale yelling at Louise for her continuous habit of drinking. He truly wants her to come back, but she's not making any effort, nor is she willing to change for the better. They return home and Louise sulks as she stares at a picture of her once beautiful family. Meanwhile, Finn cycles to where Eliza is standing by the bus station. He comforts her and hands an apple to her. A bus stops and they get on it, knowing that it circles the town loop. They simply enjoy the ride while it lasts until they are dropped off at the exact point at which they got in. By the time they alight the bus, it's dark already. Finn attempts to be a shoulder she can lean on, but she pushes him away. She asks him to leave her alone because she needs some space. He scoffs because it's unbelievable she'll want him to go away, despite his professing love to her. When he gets back home, the whole incident messes with his head. It takes him down memory lane and how his parents began their treatment towards him. He goes to Eliza's house hoping she will be in a better mood, but she looks lost in thoughts as she paces back and forth in her room. As he watches her, he thinks that sometimes one has to do the things they don't want to do, just like his father told him as a child. At the party, Sasha feels frustrated with the guy who is supposed to dance with her. He's dancing off and she can't have him embarrass her. Well, Louise refuses to learn her lessons. She sticks her bottle of alcohol close to her chest as she informs Eliza that Corinna called, and she wants both of them to attend the dance together. She tells her daughter to wear her green dress and a strappy shoe to go with it. Eliza gets off the bed and informs her mother that Dale loves her just in case she doesn't know it. At Sasha's place, the party is a real hit. Loud music is buzzing through the speakers, and the teenagers are dancing energetically to the beat, while some drown themselves in alcohol and some substance. Eliza walks in, just maybe it's time to quit being angry at her stepsister. Corinna sees her and runs to embrace her excitedly. She doesn't believe that Eliza will honor the invitation. Over at Louise's place, she drinks some more as Eliza is out. At least there will be no one to restrain her. She hears some noise in the corridor and calls out her daughter's name, wondering why she's back so early. To her surprise, Finn shows up at the door. Without opening the see-through door, she informs him that Eliza is not at home, but he refuses to leave. Instead, he fixes a wicked gaze on her. Later, he meets Eliza at the party. He sees Ava, who claims that Eliza is with their other friends, but he doesn't believe her. She decides to let him see her friend, so she shows him where Eliza is standing and sobbing calmly. He leads her to the spot where the fallen tree is, and then begins to confess his love for her. He loves her so much that it terrifies him, but he needs to tell her what he has done. He has hurt people. He reveals that he doesn't know what gets into him, and in those times, he can't calm himself down. Finn shares an incident when his parents used to force him to take some pills, which he hated. He never felt like they wanted him around, but then it's not his fault that he was born. He confesses that all his rage has led him to make his parents get a taste of their own medicine. He questions Eliza if it makes him a monster. She understands that he's having some psychological challenges at the moment, so she kisses him and explains that he's not a monster because what he did was an accident and it's not his fault. Later that night, he takes her home and watches over her until she falls asleep before he leaves for his house. The following day, Eliza walks around the house in search of her mother. She finally sees Louise sitting on the chair close to where her painting tools are kept. She walks to her mother's front only to meet the biggest shock ever. Her mother is now lifeless. Dale and Corinna come over to the house, and they call the ambulance to get Louise's corpse. The three of them sit down, mourning their loss as best as they can. Eliza has the biggest loss, and her pain cannot be compared to that of the others. Eliza gets a hold of herself later. She goes to Finn's house and meets his absence. She finds a tape on his bed. She believes he left it there for her, so she plays it on the DVD player in his room. Truly, the tape is for her, and Finn did keep it there. The video contains mainly memories of her, and he confesses how he wishes he could go back in time to correct the mess he created. He reveals that he traded her mother's life for hers because he wanted to protect her. He feels love isn't all about being nice, but also doing the right thing. Finn has come to terms with the fact that he has a nice heart, which he can't reason with. So it's time to take himself to a better place where it's quiet and full of peace. He believes that her life will be much better without him in it. The video ends abruptly, and Eliza is left alone to deal with the passing of her mother and lover, even though her mother's demise was caused by her lover. Too much grief for one person to bear in a single day. She screams her lungs out and cries bitterly.